You're back. Good. What can I help you with? By love, you did.
Fast, observantly, like an electronic printer.
Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. The situation is precarious. What can I help you with, Lieutenant Freighter? Of course. Anything to help. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, I fear I've told you all I know. Is there anything else I can help you with? Oh? Did you now? What sort of borscht is he making? The strike brew. That's a classic. And by turn up the heat, I presume you mean put more alcohol in it? Why, if I may ask, why make them more drunk? Aren't they corked enough already?
Yes, Detective. What were you hoping to accomplish with this strange thing?
Very curious. A very curious thing to do.
Truly. But that's how he operates. He just does things, man, and then talks about them, even if it's inappropriate.
A strange equanimity has overtaken the lieutenant. He's just going with the flow now. Easier that way.
What else? I have a bad feeling about this. Please just say you have it. No loops, darling. That's beautiful.
Keeping her calm, perfect posture. Her eyes move across the muzzle keenly.
A Villiers 9mm. Front-loaded? 2 or 3-barreled? Villiers and LaSalle was one of the original 14 Indo tribes of Revachol. Did you know? Artillery and ballistics. Before the revolution, of course. They belong to some Gottwalders now.
She phrases it as if it's a pity. She also phrases it as a transition out of you waving your gun around.
What else? It helps to sometimes hold inventory of the things you've achieved, you know. Clears the soul. A takeover. If they're taking it...
Green livery, changing into red, blot by blot. Like a cancer of the blood, metastasizing.
Then we're talking about a war. Evrart needs to let me into the harbor at once. We need to talk about this. They most certainly are not. Crenell has 1,000 men on their payroll. The next batch will be a platoon of 20 men and a gunship.
I've seen the Union's forces. They are better organized than these mercenaries. They also have the support of the people of Revachol West. It will take more than Crenell to wipe them out. Wild Pines will need to send more and better equipped men. Make no mistake, ma'am. I am sure you have the money. The question is, how many years and how many lives are you willing to sacrifice?
What do you suggest I do? Everything affects the decision-making process, Detective.
Officer?
Of course. Your job is to clean up after them. And it looks like there will be a lot of cleaning to be done in the near future. What will I do?
Her arms fall to her sides. Her spine relaxes.
Did I ever tell you how they discovered this Isola? During our reality lowdown? It may be the only break we've ever caught as a species. The last one for 400 years. The nations who colonized this Isola called theirs Muindi. The world. It was all they knew. All they thought would be. That there would be something more was a gamble, akin to another world, or life after death. The Pale was thought to be impregnable, perpetual. Irene la Navigateur, the Queen of Sirene, sent 8 expeditions, one after the other, into the mass at the edge of the world. 5 of the crews did not return. 2 did, but had lost their minds.
Each of those expeditions would have been led by an admiral. Sounds like a purge. Like she was purging her political rivals.
There was no precedent for such an undertaking. People thought she was punishing the admirals, or had gone mad, or both. Until after years of trial and error, and the development of a strict psychological regime imitating the creation process of poetry.
Called Volta do Mar, or Return from the Sea.
The 8th expedition returned sane and intact. They told of a new continent of matter. They told the Queen and her counselor, Dolores Day, that the Pale had begun to condense, day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute, slowly raining down until it formed a vast ocean.
The air is cold and scented with petrichor. There are rain circles on water all around. Humidity crawls up your back like a piano trill. So does the lieutenant. His mouth is slightly open as he looks to the sky. The droplets feel warm, like spring rain.
The phenomenon has never again been encountered. For a time, the crew thought they were experiencing a hallucination. The mass hand proclaimed, "Lancielinde, Lancielinde," the signal to wake up. But they could not. They were sane and conscious, as islands began to appear on the horizon. There are 78,000 uninhabited islands in the Insulindian archipelago, officer. The freckled face of God.
You've thought it a million times.
A total shift in human comprehension of reality. On the second day, a great skua was shot down above the flagship Elysium.HC. The bird was preserved and brought back, along with pollen. 4 years later, the Queen's counselor was proclaimed Her Innocence Dolores Day, the elected world spirit. The age of humanism, internationalism, and parliamentary rule followed. We were high. On Caillou, the Pebble, the largest of the fertile, uninhabited islands of the northeast Insulindian archipelago. 4 centuries and 2 revolutions later. The first living, autonomous organism. Proof of reality. It's the symbol of Insulinde, detective. The coat of arms of the suzerain and the wings on the crest of the commune. In your defense, it is a nasty creature who plucks food from the throats of lesser birds. Yet much like Revachol, it is also magnificent and rare. Imagine the suzerain of seagulls.
There was a sting in your heart at the mention before, when she said its name.
The nations of Mundi proceeded to discover 5 more Isolae. Or they discovered us. All in the rush of the great inter-Islary reconnection. But these others weren't uninhabited. We had to kill people there. Wipe out indigenous populations. Gunboat economies. Or they came to do the same for us. Or had done to each other. But here, there was no one but the skua, the Liliat Sea, and the Blood Beach, and the River Esperance. It was the new world. The Mondials used it to amass the greatest concentration of wealth mankind has ever seen. Revachol, the suzerain. Revolution, poverty, and the mercurial rise of capitalism. It is. Soon it will be spring and everything will blossom.
The gangs will run wild, jacking motor carriages, ferrying amphetamines through Coal City. Spring is tough in Revachol.
I will surrender Terminal B to the Union.
She puts her hand in the rain. She's silent for a second.
We will see.
Ma'am, this may well unravel property law this side of the river. If that occurs, we may never see the end of this kind of confrontation. The next time there will be 2 strikes, then 4, then 100.
What happens will happen. The age of capital has only begun. I will talk to my employers in person. We will amputate and cauterize Martinez. If you handle the situation on the ground. Yes, Mr. Clare has a 2-month head start. I can't let it grow any bigger. And I've exhausted all my options from here.
There are no employers. She's a member of the board. Probably a partner.
You are the citizens' militia. There are no superiors.
That's right, Detective. And next time, you should confer with them before you go setting events in motion.
Despite his words, he's not really sure whether to be annoyed with you or not. Events are already in motion. Whether your actions accelerated or momentarily retarded their progress, even the lieutenant cannot really say.
Here I am. I am the face, and I'm here to answer. Joyce Layton. Yes, Mr. Clare has a 2-month head start. I can't let it grow any bigger. And I've exhausted all my options from here. Keep the peace, and I will keep my end of the bargain.
How far along is Crenell's investigation?
The confrontation is imminent. They have followed in your footsteps. As your investigation reaches a climax, so does theirs. They are your shadow. Arm yourselves. Armor yourselves. Protect their targets. Violence may be unavoidable, but we can limit the casualties. Soon. I do not know precisely. They have cut off all communication, you see. They know I've been feeding you information. One last thing, Lieutenant Dubois. I've given the matter much thought and come to this conclusion. You're not an amnesiac. You're insane. I know, because I, too, am insane. I just hide my illness better. And I'm rich. No, Detective. No one's as insane as you.
Don't worry, madame. I am very sane.
I'm overexposed, baby. My travels take me through the Pale dozens of times a year. I've got the longing. And I've got it bad.
She would die to return to it. The Pale. The past. Anything one can return to.
The same strict psychological regimen the 8th Admiral developed when he crossed the Pale and discovered this Isola. The Volta do Mar. It's used by inter-Easlary travelers and other troubled souls, even to this day.
You could use a little of it yourself.
Watch out for yourselves. They will strike soon.
The lieutenant watches her boat grow smaller on the bay, its white sails fluttering. You wonder what Evrart has to say about this. Slowly, the sails turn grey-blue as more oxygen gets between you.
Aye, the sea's gonna calm down soon, I can feel it. The wind is turning southeast. Unfortunately, the factory sold this one with a 3-year warranty, and guns are expensive. From time to time, people need a Some went to patch their wounds, their guess.
If it is,
Gone. To the waves. He didn't Now, before you...
she really likes those muscles, though.
Us work life didn't...
This is neat. She looks like she's ready to go on a...
Everything's still cool here, officer. The shine on these sunglasses.
The speakers below are banged up and worthless. The sneakers triumph over them. They're the star of the show here.
Super cool! Now the premium lifestyle is yours, officer.
The sneakers seem to vibrate in your hands with an almost mystical energy.
The junk is yours, officer. Happy listening! Try not to hurt your ears with that Samaran garbage.
A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table.
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
All the old boom. You see rows of toy soldiers.
Make way for the master poet.
Oh, sorry, officer. What do you want?
Host almighty. He's a total bummer now.
Looking for something, Aunt?
Right to work!
Hola, Wandering Man.
So, the ship has sailed. Did you see it? I know you did. Tell me, what did it look like as it grew smaller and smaller when that mainsail dropped behind the horizon?
There's a mean little light in its eyes.
Did it look like a germ? Did it look like a piece of bacteria?
His tone is totally different now. The jolly man of the people is gone, and so is the smile. His jaw is clenched, and his quadruple chin is quivering with hatred. This is decades of hatred speaking right now. You get a sinking feeling.
Don't worry, Harry. He does. At least I think he does.
You wanted us to relay all this information to her.
That this is a takeover? That I want a war? God, I hope you also told her about the drug trade. They absolutely hate getting their hands dirty with that. You can kill 1 million people, but if you do something the police doesn't like, well, then you're out of the yacht club. Goodbye, you inhuman fuck. No, no, Harry. What we have is real. We're working men. This here is real.
In there, under pillows of winter fat, his stress-ridden heart still beats furiously.
Harry, I can't see into the future. We are all playing by ear on this planet. I had no idea she'd react so strongly. I did. I knew the negotiations would go better with police officers telling her horror stories from inside the harbour. It's scarier this way. Turns out it was a magnificent strategy. I never thought it'd so fundamentally fuck her up. Harry, I bugged her cabin. I bugged her whole boat. I had cameras surveying her boat. Hell, I even wanted to bug that thermal cup. But my boys advised against it.
They must have done it while Joyce was busy questioning the locals.
Not me personally. I had guys recording and processing this information for me. Hell no! They'd fuck it up. They can't do anything right. I mean my real boys. My special task force boys.
Where are these boys?
They sure as hell aren't hanging out in the open with beers in their hands for the cops to question. They're pros, Mr. Kitsuragi. Harry, you made a conscious decision to relay that information to her. You could have kept it for yourself. Against you? Oh, Harry, I'd like to think I used it for you.
It was interesting. No arguing against that.
Of course she did. Rich people have the best stories about all the interesting things they've done and seen. All the beautiful places they've been to. It's just sentimentalism. She can afford to be sentimental, and she can afford to lose as well.
It saddens him that she can. Sours it, but only a tiny bit.
She's not insane. What did she tell you? No, she's not. She's a sentimental alcoholic. They all are. Never take a drop and you'll be 8 laps ahead of those upper-class winos. Just like old Mr. Clare here. Try it. You'll be a real super detective. See, this is what they want us to do. Suck on that sugar and wine teat until we're insane like they are. You gotta be smarter than that, Harry, or you'll lose. What was always going to happen? We take the harbour and she fucks off to Ozon, uncorks a bottle of wine, calls her partners, and says they need to distance themselves from this nasty business before the big shit spinner splashes everyone. Only difference is the Union doesn't have to lose 2,000 men to machine gun fire. Yes, of course, Harry. That's why you went to her and relayed every little thing I told you. You knew something. Something big. And you wanted to see what happens when you tell someone. So you told her. Anyone who's ever been close to power will tell you. Inside information is the sweetest thing in the world. It's better than money. It's better than pussy. Money only makes you special for some salesmen. Pussy only makes you special for yourself. Information makes you special for all mankind. It's the ticket to history. Right on, Harry. What you did was participate in history. When history calls, you have to pick up. You had no choice. None of us ever do. A hard disco cop like you, I knew you weren't one to resist temptation.
You know what, Detective? I am going to leave this out of my report, and I suggest you leave it out of yours, too.
Just look at the three of us. The three careless boyaderos. Good times, good times. Okay. Hell yes it is. Now there's a whole lot of work to do. For me and for you. I suppose there was a reason you came here, so let's get to it. What can I help my best friend and comrade with today?
Hey, mister. I'm not gonna bother you with a long greeting, just like...
The woman is still hunched over the railing, her head swaying to the music, her eyes looking at nothing in particular.
Huh? What is it? What do you want?
A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages. A lot of shelf space seems to be taken up by Wirral-related merchandise.
Wonderful choice, sir. A wholesome family game. If you say so, but you better stay away from those immoral occult rituals. Hello again, esteemed officer.
In your hands, you hold a brand new copy of the game, Suzerainty. It's snugly wrapped in a skin of plastic. The cover features a charming illustration depicting a mass of grinning laborers loading goods onto a ship, while a richly dressed administrator oversees their work. Good thinking. It could be a collectible someday.